check it out. It's my old computer. Doesn't work very well anymore after the hack the other night, but I thought I'll come out swinging with a brand new top tier computer system, router upgrade, system upgrade, internet upgrade and phone upgrade. And that's what this video will be about. That's me, by the way. These are my figures over the last few days. I didn't actually lose that much. I actually gained a fair few views and subscribers. And of course, this led me to buying my brand new computer system. So I'm going to talk you through what my old one was and the upgrade parts which I selected. So the first thing I did is upgrade my internet to 900 megabits per second either way fiber connection with a protected corporate level data center style router with a wireless path which is invisible outside of my network, so it cannot be hacked from the outside using wireless. And I very much doubt they're going to get in here to hack a physical cable in. Aside from that, I had a new mixer, a new server pass-through computer for my VPN, which you can see on the right hand side there. So I'm using a Pi 4. I'm not going to tell you which software, just in case you do get into my house, but it's password protected and encrypted, so you won't be getting through to that. I also bought a new PC which has a AMD 7800X3D 4.8 GHz processor and a 4070 Super 12GB graphics card. Now, the point in me showing you this, ladies, gents and Pikachus, is not to gloat at how great my equipment is, although I am very happy with it. I wanted to demonstrate to you the correct response when you are attacked by a rat-faced infidel, a fake Muslim who claims to have a faith in God but behaves like a common criminal and looks like he woke up in a barn. The correct thing to do is not to retaliate or get angry or to put energy towards him in any way at all. The correct response is to pick yourself up, dust yourself down and crack on with the task which angered him in the first place. Good afternoon and welcome back, ladies, gents and Pikachus, to another analysis and breakdown of the Quran of the Muslims. But we're not going to be going through it verse by verse because I want to continue telling you about the hacking event that I went through and why I had to replace my whole studio. So you might be asking yourself, what was my great sin? What was the big crime that I committed which caused these Muslims to gather together a plan and the resources necessary in order to come to my property, sit outside in the car and do some war driving, some wireless hacking on me and disable my computer? Well, the thing that I did wrong was I read you the Quran, but I didn't read it to you as a believer. And as we know, you're not allowed to read the Quran unless you first also believe it. That is Allah's command. As ridiculous as that sounds, you're not allowed to read the Quran unless you already believe in the Quran. And what that means is the Quran is not a guide to truth as it claims. This is a confirmation of slavery. That is the only reason why you would not be allowed to read and understand this book before first believing it. For how can you believe something you don't know? You can't. It's just blind faith at that point. So it isn't a belief. It's a desire. It's a whim. And that's what Muslims have today. Muslims are at the whim of Allah through the Quran because they don't know any better. As we saw in the stream the other night with the guy and his little friend who ended up hacking me. And it's interesting to note as well, the thing that really upset them was the fact that I claim that I have met Jesus. When I was an atheist, I did a summoning prayer, which I found in the Holy Bible. And the reason I committed to this plan of summoning Jesus, I didn't actually believe in Jesus. I didn't think that he was going to appear. What I thought was going to happen is that I was going to perform perfectly the fasting, the getting up early, the cleansing myself, and the summoning prayer, and then nothing was going to happen. And then I could toddle back home and write another article about how I'd proven conclusively that the biblical summoning for Jesus didn't work. You couldn't actually pray to Jesus and he wouldn't appear to you. So imagine my surprise when he did appear to me, and I immediately, like that, knew that I was a Christian in that moment. And I think that proves the kind of guy Jesus Christ is. Because I was a non-believer at that point. I was completely undeserving. Not only that, I was actually working against him. I was very successfully preaching atheism. I was going to conferences. I had a website, videos, social medias. I had a big social group, which I was very popular within. And the reason I was so popular is because I was very good and a successful debate candidate. I was arguing successfully, and I was bringing people from different faiths, Christianity, Islam, whatever, and converting them to no belief. Now, how would it happen that a person with no belief who is working against God can summon Christ, and then the first thing that I thought when I saw Christ was, oh my God, he's actually real, and I knew it was him. There was no doubt whatsoever. I didn't feel terror. I didn't think this is Satan and flee like Muhammad did when he first saw Allah. This is described in a hadith. Allah, when he first appeared to Muhammad, terrified Muhammad. Muhammad fled back to his wife. And the first thing he said to his wife is, I think I've been bewitched. I've been beset by Satan. And he had his wife convince him otherwise. Now, it also says in here, the Quran of the Muslims, that the testimony of a woman is worth less of half that of a man's. So if that were true, surely Muhammad would have needed at least 2 women to convince him that he didn't actually see Satan. So I would say to you, O Muslims, when you're saying this book is true, you have to therefore admit, in your hadiths, which are referred to in this book, Muhammad thought Allah was Satan. And you also have to admit, if a woman's testimony is only worth half of a man's, he only had 1 woman testify that he was actually wrong, and that it was actually Allah. And think about it. That's Muhammad being wrong. So we know straight away, Muhammad was wrong because he thought Allah was Satan. And if he wasn't wrong, then Allah is actually Satan. And even if he was right, he was not following Allah's commands because he only had 1 woman witness when he needed 2 at least. So as you can see, these are the kind of questions and the logical, factual answers we find within this book and the following hadiths when we apply our free will, our logical, inquiring minds, and simple, factual thinking, objective thinking, to this book, to the hadiths, to the cult of Islam. And we have many questions, but for answers we are left wanting because there are no good answers. This book is deceitful. And the entire goal of this book is to trick Muslims out of their logical inquiring mind, out of using their free will and their intelligence, so that they become slaves of Allah and they blindly follow him into the abyss through their holy jihad, and they die after having lived in sin. So that was the great crime I had committed. I had realised this through my study and reading of this book, which I didn't expect to find. Trust me, I didn't think that was going to be in there. I had no idea what I was going to find. But unfortunately for us, as a species, that is what this book contains. And through my study and my work presenting this truth to you on my channel here, my Discord server and my website, I incurred the great wrath of Allah. Now, as we know, Allah didn't appear to me. Allah has no power to appear to me. Allah! Allah, please, I pray to you, Allah, please appear to me right now and prove you are real, if indeed so you are. What do you know? No appearance from Allah. So we know when Allah's commands are being followed and the wrath and punishments of Allah are being committed to the sins of the unbelievers, i.e. me giving you this truth right now and the proof from the Quran that this stuff is nonsense, it has to be done by the creepy little hands of the believers. The Muslims have to do the criminal acts. And Allah takes no blame for this because he was nothing to do with it. In the same way that if I write a book that says you should kill all, Chinese people or something, I'm not saying you should, please don't do that. But if I were to write a book that said that, and somebody read it and went off and murdered a load of Chinese people in cold blood, I wouldn't take the blame for that, would I? Because I didn't do it. And that's how Allah is tricking his Muslims. He hasn't done any of the crimes himself personally. Allah doesn't do his own dirty work. He makes his Muslims blindly obey him into the abyss of sin, and they are the ones committing all these crimes. And that is why we know, at the end of time, if God is real, whether it be Allah, whether it be Satan, whether it be Jesus Christ like us Christians believe, when all have to be accounting for their own actions, when all people account for their own actions, Muslims are going to have to account for the thieving, the lying, the adultery, the fornication, the murder, the pedophilia, all of the lies. They're going to have to account individually, personally, for their own crimes. Allah's not going to take responsibility, is he? Of course not. We know from reading this book he doesn't even take responsibility for the things he does do. In the story of Adam, he saunters into the Garden of Eden and he finds Adam there. And he tricks Adam using the hidden secrets of heaven into original sin and being thrown out of Eden. And what's the first thing he does when he lands on the ground with Adam? He says, Adam, this is your own fault. He takes no responsibility for the fact that, in his own words, Eden had a state of felicity before his arrival, and Adam was innocent and without sin. But after a short conversation with Allah and some interactions with Allah and his angels, suddenly now Adam is cast out of Eden and no longer is in a state of felicity, is now upon the earth in fear for his life, having to find food and water and worship only Allah. Previous to the fact that Allah had actually promised that he would be above the angels, now he is way below the angels. He's on earth, he's the lowest creature, he has to find food and water and worship only Allah. And the punishment for him if he doesn't do this is death, forever in fire. So in conclusion, the reason why Muslims will attack me, and they will continue to, I fully expect they will try to do this again in future, that they will fail, is because they don't want you to know the truth of this book, the same as Allah doesn't want them to know the truth of this book. And the truth of this book is sin, depraved evil, murder, racism, rape, and pedophilia. And for those reasons, we should absolutely never accept this as regular daily life in this country, or indeed any civilized country. We should do everything we can to banish this and make sure that the reason why we are banishing it is not racism or blind hate or faith in a different religion. That is what these guys do. The reason we are banishing this is because it is morally corrupt and it is blindly leading Muslims into sin, towards death, and being punished forever in hell. Whether that be from Satan or God or Jesus Christ or whoever, we know from reading all the holy books. They all agree that sin is punishable by fire. That is what these guys are going to get, whether they realise it or not. So, that's the end of this video. I hope I've made it clear to you, when you are attacked by these guys, which you will be if you're doing what I'm doing and working against Satan, picking apart the lies in the Quran that he has left for us to try and deceive us, if you are willing to stand against this immorality, stand up for what you believe in, goodness and morality, kindness and love, as Jesus Christ has commanded us to try to do. He hasn't commanded us that we definitely have to do it. If we're not up for it, we don't have to, and there's no punishment if we fail. But he wants us to build our character so that our lives can have meaning. Not meaning through jihad, not meaning through blind slavery like Allah's minions. Real, true meaning. And that's what I'm going to leave you with. So I hope you enjoyed this video. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Oh, it's so good to be back. I love this job. Anyway, I'll be back recording more Without Lies, Islam Dies tomorrow morning, so I'll see you back then. In the meantime, have a lovely evening. God bless you all, and I'll see you, lovely people, in the next one. Bye now. Bye 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 bye. Bye.